Hello and welcome to French for Dummies. Now today we're going to be looking at the future tense and in particular what it is used for and how to conjugate both regular and irregular verbs in the future tense. I hope you enjoy the video and please feel free to leave feedback on my YouTube channel French for Dummies. So, the question is, what exactly do we use the future tense for? The big five, that's what. Number 1, the future tense refers to an action which will occur or happen in the future. For example, je regarderai la télévision. I will watch the television in the future. Lui étudiera l'anglais à l'université. Louis will study English at university. Je vais organiser une manifestation. I am going to organise a demonstration. The future tense is also used to give instructions or orders in a polite manner. Vous fermez la fenêtre, s'il vous plaît. Will you close the window, please? It is also used to replace the word may or might in English when a speaker is speculating about possible outcomes. Elle aura encore sa migraine. She may or might have a headache again. 4. It is used in if clauses. S'il fait chaud, je mangerai une glace. If the weather is hot, I will eat an ice cream. Number 5. The future tense is also used when the action has not yet taken place. For example, quand vous arrivez au bout de la rue, vous verrez un rond-point. When you arrive at the end of the road, you will see a roundabout. The future tense is often used with the following time expressions: quand, when, lorsque, when, aussitôt que, as soon as, dès que, as soon as, autant que, all the while that, une fois que, once, en même temps que, at the same time as, and après que, after. There are two different ways in which we can use the future tense in French based upon how we use it in English. In English, you can either say, I will eat my dinner at 7 o'clock, which is the future tense, or you can say, I am going to eat my dinner at 7 o'clock, which has the same meaning, but is called the immediate future. This concept is the same in French. You have the future, je mangerai mon dîner à 7 heures, I will eat my dinner at 7 o'clock, in which the will and eat form one word, mangerai, and je vais manger mon dîner à 7 heures, I am going to eat my dinner at 7 o'clock, and the I am going to section translates as je vais manger. Okay, so now we've looked at how we use the future tense and the two ways in which we can present the future tense. However, how do we form the future tense? The majority of French verbs can be conjugated or formed following one of three patterns, depending on whether the verb ends in an ER, an IR, or an RE. Firstly, let's think of a few regular verbs ending in ER. I've just put a list to get you started, but obviously there's hundreds more. Now let's consider how we should correctly conjugate these ER verbs in the future tense. I've taken the verb parler, to talk, to show this to you. The words in red represent the personal pronouns. Je is I, tu is you, il, elle, or on are he, she, or one, nous is we, vous is you, and il, elle is they. As you can see in the middle, the letters in green represent the infinitive, or the verb, parler. Then, on the end of those green letters, I've added blue endings. These blue endings show the conjugated future tense endings. When conjugating regular ER verbs, we add one of the following endings onto the infinitive. Onto je, we add AI. Onto tu, we add AS. Il, elle, or on, we add A. Nous, we add ONS, vous, we add EZ, and il or elle, we add ONT. Now let's look at some IR verbs. Here are a few for you to consider. Perhaps you could think about how you might conjugate them now that you know how to conjugate ER verbs in the future tense. Now that you've thought about that, let's look at how we should correctly conjugate these IR verbs. I've chosen the example of remplir, to fill, to show this to you. The words in red, as you know, represent the personal pronouns, represented below, and the letters in green represent the infinitive, or the verb, remplir. Following this, the letters in blue show the conjugated future tense endings. When conjugating regular IR verbs, very much like conjugating ER verbs, we add one of the following endings, with je plus remplir plus AI, tu plus remplir plus AS, il, elle, on plus remplir plus A, nous plus remplir plus ONS, vous plus remplir plus IZ, il ou elle plus remplir plus ONT. Now let's have a look at some RE verbs. I've put a few down here for you to look at. Try thinking of a few more to expand your vocabulary. Now it's time to look at how we should correctly conjugate these RE verbs. I've chosen the verb vendre, to sell, to show this to you. As you know, the words in red represent the personal pronouns, which are shown below on the left, and the letters in green represent part of the infinitive. Unlike ER verbs and IR verbs, with RE verbs, you take off the E and replace it with a future tense ending. The words in blue show these conjugated future tense endings. With je, we add vendre plus AI, tu, vendre plus AS, il, elle, on, vendre plus A, nous, vendre plus ONS, vous plus vendre plus IZ, il or elle plus vendre plus ONT. How exactly are we going to remember how to conjugate all these future tense verbs exactly? For me, I just think r, the R sound. For example, with IR, ER and RE verbs, you've always got a r sound at the end of the verb. With vendre, it's vendrez. With remplir, it's remplirait. And with parler, it's parlerait. Just think r. Okay, so now you've heard all about regular verbs, how to conjugate them and how to use them in the future tense. Now it's time to look at irregular verbs in the future tense. Let's have a look at the big daddy of all irregular ER verbs. Aller, to go. The words in red, as you know, represent the personal pronouns listed below. Unlike regular ER verbs, when conjugating aller, for example, all the pronouns je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, and il don't use the stem ALL, but instead a variety of conjugations beginning with IR. J'irai, tu iras, il, elle, on ira, nous irons, vous irez, ils iront. There are a number of irregular types of ER verbs in the future tense. Firstly, you have verbs ending in AYER, such as payer. With these verbs, you replace the Y with an I. Secondly, you have verbs ending in ELER or ETER, such as appeler or jeter. These verbs, you double the consonant, so double the L or double the T. Thirdly, you have verbs ending in OYER or UYER, such as employer or essuyer. With these, like AYER verbs, you replace the Y with an I. There are also many irregular IR verbs in the future tense. For example, verbs ending in RIR, such as acquérir and courir. With both these cases, you double the R. Also, you have verbs ending in double LIR, such as cuillère. Verbs such as cuillère replace the I after the double L with an E. Next, you have verbs ending in ENIR, such as tenir and venir. With these, it's a little bit different. You replace the tenir with a completely different sort of anagram of tenir, tiendre, and for venir, it's viendre. For example, you have je tiendrai, tu tiendras, il, elle, on tiendra, nous tiendrons, vous tiendrez, ils tiendront. Remember, the r sound is important once again. Here are 7 more irregular IR verbs with their future tense conjugations. Pouvoir, devoir, savoir, avoir, recevoir, voir, and s'asseoir. They all end in OIR. See if you can find a common rule for a few of them. There are 2 main irregular RE verbs that you really must know how to conjugate in the future tense. Faire and être. With faire, I'll go through each one and see if you can come up with a rule. Je ferai, tu feras, il, elle, on fera, nous ferons, vous ferez, ils feront. For être, je serai, tu seras, il, elle, on sera, nous serons, vous serez, ils seront. You may have noticed that both of these verbs are similar in the way that both their stems change. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you also have verbs in the immediate future, and we conjugate these to take the verb organiser, to organise. You form the immediate future through the use of the conjugated form of aller in the present tense plus your infinitive, in this case, organiser. Now let's go through the conjugated form of aller in the present tense. To remind you, je vais, tu vas, il, elle, on va, nous allons, vous allez, and ils, elles vont. If you want to remind yourselves a little more about aller in the present tense, check out my present tense video on French for Dummies. Alongside each of these forms of aller in the present tense, we add the infinitive. So, je vais organiser, tu vas organiser, and so on and so forth. That's all for now, folks. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you feel that you've learnt a little bit more about the future tense in French. Feel free to leave feedback on the wall below.